Today we're going to break down inheritance, how characteristics are passed from parents to offspring. We'll cover key inheritance terms, genotype diagrams and Punnett squares, XX and XY chromosomes, protein synthesis, mitosis and meiosis, monohybrid crosses, eye color, pedigree diagrams, test crosses, codominance, sex-linked characteristics. Let's begin. What is inheritance? Inheritance is the passing of genetic information from parents to offspring through genes. This genetic information determines characteristics like eye color, blood group, height, and hair type, key terms in inheritance. Let's define the essential vocabulary. Chromosomes are thread-like structures found in the nucleus of cells that carry genetic information. Humans have 46 chromosomes, 23 pairs. Now let's talk about genes. A gene is a section of DNA that codes for a specific protein. Each gene controls a particular characteristic. Now let's talk about alleles. Alleles are different versions of the same gene. Example, B equals brown, I allele. B equals blue, I allele. Now let's talk about gametes. Gametes are sex cells which include the sperm for males and the egg, also known as ovum, for females. Gametes contain half the number of chromosomes, 23 in humans. Now, let's talk about a dominant allele. It is an allele that is expressed even if only one copy is present, represented with a capital letter. Now, let's talk about recessive alleles. It is an allele that is only expressed if two copies are present, represented with a lowercase letter. Now, let's talk about homozygous and heterozygous. Homozygous has two identical alleles. Uppercase B, homozygous dominant. Lowercase b, homozygous recessive. On the other hand, heterozygous has two different alleles. Now, let's talk about genotypes. They are the genetic makeup of letters. Example, uppercase B, lowercase b. Now, let's talk about phenotype. It is the physical appearance. Example, brown eyes. Now, let's talk about XX and XY chromosomes. Humans have one pair of sex chromosomes. Females, XX. Males, XY. The father determines the sex of the baby because mother always gives X. Father gives X or Y. Now, let's talk about the types of genotype diagrams. There are two common ways to show genetic crosses. Genetic cross notation, BB times BB, and the Punnett square diagram. Now, let's talk about the Punnett square diagram. A Punnett square predicts possible offspring genotypes. Example, brown eyes, uppercase B dominant over blue lowercase b recessive. Parents, BB times BB. Possible offspring, BB, 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 BB. Genotype ratio, 1, 2, 1. Phenotype ratio, 3 brown, 1 blue. Now, let's talk about a monohybrid cross. A monohybrid cross studies inheritance of one characteristic. Example, seed color in plants, eye color in humans. It follows Mendel's pattern, 3-to-1 phenotype ratio when heterozygous parents cross. Here's an example on eye color. Let uppercase B equals brown dominant, lowercase b equals blue recessive. If both parents are BB, 75% chance of brown eyes, 25% chance of blue eyes. Now, let's talk about codominance. In codominance, both alleles are expressed equally. Example, blood group AB. If genotype equals IAIB, both A and B proteins appear. Neither allele is recessive. Now, let's talk about sex-linked characteristics. These are traits controlled by genes on the X chromosome. Examples include red-green color blindness, hemophilia, since males have only one X chromosome. If they inherit the recessive allele, they show the condition. Females need 2 copies to show it. Now, let's talk about test crosses. A test cross is used to determine whether an organism with a dominant phenotype is homozygous dominant or heterozygous. It is done by crossing with a homozygous recessive individual. If any recessive offspring appear, parent is heterozygous. Now, let's talk about pedigree diagrams. A pedigree diagram shows inheritance in families across generations. Symbols: square equals male, circle equals female, shaded equals affected, used to identify dominant traits, recessive traits, sex-linked traits. Now, let's talk about protein synthesis. Genes code for proteins. Protein synthesis happens in two main stages. Number 1, transcription occurs in the nucleus. DNA is copied into mRNA. Number 2, translation occurs at ribosomes. mRNA is used to assemble amino acids, forms a protein. Proteins control enzymes, hormones, structure, e.g. keratin. So genes control characteristics by controlling proteins. Now, let's talk about mitosis. Mitosis is cell division that produces 2 identical daughter cells. Same chromosome number, 46 in humans, used for growth, repair, replacement. Now, let's talk about stem cells. Stem cells are unspecialized cells that can divide repeatedly, differentiate into specialized cells. Types: embryonic stem cells, adult stem cells. They are important in medicine for treating diseases. Now, let's talk about meiosis. Meiosis produces gametes. It produces 4 cells. Each has half the chromosome number 23. Creates genetic variation. Importance: maintains chromosome number across generations. Creates variation through crossing over and independent assortment. Why is meiosis important for inheritance? Without meiosis, chromosome numbers would double every generation. Meiosis ensures 23 fertilization back to 46. So to sum up, we learned that inheritance explains how traits pass from parents to offspring through genes, alleles, chromosomes, meiosis, and fertilization, using tools like Punnett squares, pedigree diagrams, test crosses, genes code for proteins, and proteins control characteristics. That's everything you need to understand inheritance for IGCSE biology. If you found this helpful, review the key terms and practice drawing Punnett squares. They almost always appear in exams.